Imagine this, a brand new car, flawless paint, 0 kilometers, engine untouched, and yet, nobody wants it. Day after day, it just sits there, under the sun or the dealership roof, like a broken promise from the market. But what happens when that car simply doesn't sell? Does it stay there forever, waiting for a miracle? Is it sent back to the factory? Is it quietly auctioned off? What happens behind the scenes with these forgotten cars is much more complex, strategic, and sometimes unsettling than you might think. In this video, we're going to open the door to a world the industry rarely shows you, the hidden fate of new cars that never find an owner. And I can assure you of one thing, no car remains unsold forever, but not all of them make it out through the front door. There's something strange about car dealerships. If you've ever passed by the same place several times, you might have noticed a subtle but unsettling detail. Some cars are always there, the same model, same color, same spot in the showroom, day after day, month after month. And while everyone talks about the best-selling cars, the latest trendy SUV, or the electric car of the future, almost no one asks, what happens to the cars that don't sell? Because they do exist. Models that, for some reason, get stuck in a kind of commercial limbo. These are brand new cars, fresh from the factory, but nobody wants to take them home. And we're not talking about defective cars or used vehicles. We're talking about perfect cars that simply never got their chance. But can they just stay there forever? The answer is a resounding no. Most people think that if a car doesn't sell, it just sits there gathering dust until someone finally buys it at a good discount. But what few people know is that there's an entire system designed to prevent that from happening. A system that operates in the shadows, with aggressive sales tactics, strategic logistical swaps, and radical decisions that sometimes mean sacrificing a car entirely just to protect the brand's image. When a car doesn't sell, the first thing to be sacrificed is the price, but not in an obvious way. You won't see a red sign that says, "This car is a failure, please take it away." It all starts with small adjustments, like a loyalty bonus if you're already a customer of the brand, an incentive for financing through the automaker, free maintenance for a year, extended warranty, free accessories like floor mats, sensors, or security films. None of that sounds like a direct discount, but it is. And when that's not enough, the aggressive plan comes in 0% interest rates, deferred payments, cash bonuses, and even direct discounts of thousands of dollars if you buy before the end of the month. Now imagine you're that buyer who walks into the dealership without knowing any of this. You see the same sedan from last year, but now it has a special occasion discount or comes with double the warranty. It seems like a good deal to you, and maybe it is, but what you're really seeing is a carefully executed rescue operation to get that car off the lot before it turns into an even bigger loss. A car that doesn't sell quickly starts to smell like trouble, even if there's nothing wrong with it. And if the dealership can't move it with fancy discounts, sooner or later they'll have to make more drastic decisions, like letting someone use it without paying for it. This is where the magic quietly starts to work. When discounts no longer work, when promotions have stopped generating interest, the dealership makes a pragmatic decision to turn the new car into a used one without it ever having been in the hands of a buyer. And no, it's not a trick. It's a perfectly legal move and more common than you might think. A demo is that car you see inside the dealership, spotless, but with the doors open, the one they show you so you can sit in it, see the dashboard light up, and hear how the engine sounds. Technically, it has never had an owner, but it's no longer considered new, because according to the rules of the game, the mere fact that it has been used by dealership staff or for test drives makes it a pre-owned vehicle. And why do they do this? Because a demo or loaner car, even though it loses value, becomes much easier to move. Once it's classified as a certified pre-owned vehicle, it can be offered with an aggressive discount, without damaging the brand's image. The customer feels like they're getting a great deal. I'm taking home a car with less than 5,000 kilometers, an extended warranty, inspected by the dealership, and I'm saving several $1,000s. And you know what? They're right. It is a good deal. And if the car still doesn't sell, the industry has another trick up its sleeve: move it to another city where no one recognizes it as the same old forgotten vehicle. When a car doesn't sell, not even with promotions, as a demo, or loaned out as a loaner, there's still one quiet move left, almost invisible to the average consumer, but very effective within the auto business: dealer trades. Yes, just like it sounds. That gray sedan you saw for months in a showroom in your city can disappear overnight, only to reappear, as if by magic, hundreds of kilometers away at another dealership, under a different campaign, with a different salesperson, and even at a different price. How is that possible? Behind all of this, there's an internal redistribution system. Each dealership has a certain inventory, but they also know the demand in their region. For example, a white SUV might be hard to move in a tropical city where customers prefer darker colors to hide mud or dust. But that same an SUV could be in high demand in a coastal city where light-colored cars are preferred because of the heat. So, what do? They negotiate among themselves. What's fascinating is that sometimes, even a change in accent, climate, or context can make all the difference. A model that was unpopular in an urban area can become desirable in a smaller city, when a car has already been ignored by buyers, disguised as a demo, loaned out as a loaner, and even transferred between dealerships without success. Patience runs out, and with it, hope as well. Then comes the moment to accept a painful truth: that vehicle is not going to sell in the traditional way, not at the expected price, not under the original conditions, and probably not in the country where it was manufactured. That's how the last resort is born: auctioning it off or exporting it. First, let's talk about auctions. They might sound exciting, almost like a game for car enthusiasts, but the reality is much harsher. These auctions are, at their core, liquidation events disguised as opportunities. Now, if the car is somewhat exotic or simply doesn't fit into the local culture, there's another alternative: exporting it. This is a world even more invisible to the average consumer. Well-known brands in America may have models that fail spectacularly in the local market, but are sought after in other parts of the world. And then, the manufacturer or distributor does the unthinkable. They load hundreds of cars onto huge cargo ships and send them to the other side of the world. There, they are repackaged, renamed, and even rebranded under another model or series. They go from being a commercial failure to becoming a regional success. In an ideal world, every car that leaves the factory would find its owner. It would be driven, lived in, appreciated, but the automotive industry doesn't run on ideals. It runs on image, strategy, and control of perceived value. And that's why, even if it seems illogical, sometimes the only way out for a brand new car that never sold is destruction. Yes, you heard that right. There are new, working, shiny cars, without a single kilometer on the clock, that have been crushed, pressed, or dismantled, not because of a mechanical failure, but because of a brand decision. Why would a company do this? Because sometimes selling cheap can end up costing more than not selling at all. In 2018, for example, cases came to light of high-end cars that were intentionally destroyed due to overproduction errors, not because nobody wanted them, but because the quantity exceeded the estimated demand, and putting them on sale at a reduced price would have collapsed the second-hand market for that same brand. Cruel, maybe. Inefficient. At first glance, yes, but in the corporate chess game of the automotive industry, maintaining perceived value is more important than recouping an individual investment. Cars that were born to drive and ended up never touching the asphalt. Now that you know, the next time you see a lonely car sitting in a showroom month after month, maybe you'll see it differently, not as a vehicle without an owner, but as a story on the verge of disappearing.